As horntail dragons surround the adventurers, they discuss how most of them have fallen, leaving no one and nothing to rely on. Elpham is told that the 6 strongest heroes have also died, and he is the last adventurer left. Their last fight doesn't end well, leaving him with the sight of his friends, Phillips, Jaden, and Alesis, dying. As he contemplates whether everything has ended, and whether he should give up and accept his death as a game of fate, his gut feeling doesn't want him to do that. He wishes to turn back time and change how things went right from where all of it began. But it doesn't happen that way, does it? Well, in this genre, yes it does. Elpham is woken by water being splashed on his face, and he finds himself tied in a slave market as a decoy slave to be sold. He is lost since the concept of decoy slaves long ended, but then he realizes he is back to the beginning. His past is where it all began. The person in front of him is the same guy who sold him as a decoy slave 6 years ago, which means he is back in the past to write the story again. When he is sold to some adventurers, they enter a gate but fail to survive there. Elpham, who was tied behind as a decoy for the adventurers to escape, survived and watched the rest of the selfish punks die. Taking the staff of fire arrow, he begins looking for other valuable stuff that these adventurers must have brought. Looking into the shoes of one of the adventurers, he finds a ring of telekinesis. He wears the ring when suddenly monsters appear around him. But that is not an issue anymore since our last adventurer has 2 weapons in his hands at the moment. He uses the fire arrows initially, but realizes that the staff has a cooldown time. Hence, Elpham switches to using telekinesis in the meantime. Even though he is back to the beginning, his skills are still extraordinary. He managed to survive without greater damage, even with his currently limited ability to use telekinesis and a staff that takes time to shoot arrows. One of the girls from the adventurers is still alive, even though she was injured first. She showcases her confusion in broken words, but Elpham doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't consider those adventurers worthy of living if they use other humans to ensure their survival. The entire village is shocked to see a slave return alone from a hunt. Elpham thinks about how the story has begun, but he needs to act quickly and correctly to not meet the same fate again. But his first aim is to get rid of the slave status. Lord Abyss is reported of a slave returning alive, but this news is insignificant to him. He is surprised a little when he gets to know the slave is the only person who returns alive. But his image of slaves being lowly, insignificant people makes him disinterested in the topic. However, he has to take notice when he gets to know that the slave has awakened the first circle and wants to register as an adventurer, and that Lord Larkin wants Abyss to dig deeper into this matter. All the arrogance about the only way slaves get freedom is death, and this is how Gapper Merchant Guild runs business go down the drain at this order, and Abyss is forced to consider the situation. Humans have always been slaves to mesos and money, and those who failed to pay their debts were forced to repay in the form of labor. This is how the concept of slavery emerged in Maple World. Elpham's father was his only family, and when he died from an illness, he had to work as a slave to pay off the debts taken for his treatment. He was exploited for 6 years, and now he finally has reached a point for revenge. Abyss doesn't beat around the bush and agrees to register him as an F-rated adventurer. Things seem easy for Elpham, but he has been aiming a little higher. He tells Abyss that he needs an E rank. Abyss is shocked and tells him this can't happen. Elpham reasons that he has been in and out of the gate a few hundred times in the past 3 years. Abyss intervenes that he didn't kill any monsters, which makes Elpham remind him that the ranks are not about the strengths, but how many times an adventurer has returned alive since the information brought back by the survivor is considered the most valuable. Abyss agrees with his point, but reminds Elpham that decoy slaves are only taken to low-tier gates, and he doesn't think Elpham would survive in high-tier ones with whatever skills he thinks he has. Ibis thinks his overconfidence will get him killed sooner, but something in his gut feeling makes him put forward a challenge. He tells Elpham that there is this gate with a 5-people limit and 12 marks on the pole. It means at least 12 parties of 5 have entered the gate and failed to return. So Elpham is asked to prove to Abyss that he deserves that rating. Elpham is welcomed by a party of 4 in the adventure. The tank, Chev, greets him pretty warmly, showing that the 4 of them don't care if he has been a slave. The objective of their mission isn't to hunt down monsters, but to collect valuable items left behind by the former adventurers. They will be paid 3,000 mesos for every item, which is not a fair deal, but it gets them something. Entering the guild, they set up their base on a tree near the entrance. After doing so, they decide to split into 2 groups and scout the surroundings. Elpham and Chev head to the east. Chev wonders why they don't see any monster or any item, and wonders if they set up their base too close to the entrance. Chev then asks Elpham about his feelings about the first assignment. Elpham mentions being nervous, so Chev consoles him that he seems nervous too every time on an adventure, but care for his companions helps him stay strong. He praises how nice the other 3 are and shows sympathy for Elpham. Telling him they accept him fully, Chev even offers him to join their party permanently. Getting no response, he tells Elpham nervously to not give it too much thought, but Elpham's attention is on the melted land. At night, everyone enjoys their food and drink before falling asleep. The 4 of them then visit Elpham's caterpillar bed, questioning if he is awake. They then start laughing about how he could be awake when they mix a heavy tranquilizer in his drink. Way to ruin their image. They have intended to kill Elpham and sell his staff. A true example of how money controls you. With a swoosh, Chev stabs the blanket only to feel a hard surface beneath. Opening the blanket, they find a log inside, making them realize he wasn't here all along. Suddenly, a fire arrow is struck at their base, making it light up with fire and lure the boss monster, the gold slime. Elpham watches them from afar, calling them fools for showing a little too much kindness to be real. Chev warns his mates that this slime's body is made of acid, and it is mostly only found on red tier gates. It is the worst type of enemy for combatants like them, pretty much defining that they don't stand a chance against it. What they didn't anticipate was that the gold slime could shoot acid arrows, making it even more dangerous for them. Assuming that the slime has a cooldown time of 1 minute to shoot another arrow, Max rushes forward to aim for the slime's core. However, it takes a max to be divided into 2 for them to get to know that the cooldown time has reduced. It means that the gold slime is much stronger than they expected. Elpham analyzes the slime and realizes that it has become strong enough to hold on its own in a yellow tier gate, 2 levels above the red. Elpham doesn't think a one-circle adventurer can realistically hunt it down, and since all the items left by the former adventurers have been corroded, the mission is automatically over. However, eBay's words asking Elpham to prove himself ring in his ears, making him stop, smirk, and turn back. Elpham begins striking the gold slime where its core is located. He keeps using both his telekinesis and fire arrow in the same spot to weaken it, and finally reaches for the core when he gets a chance to. As it turns out, Elpham is the greatest telekinetic of all. Once the core has been attacked, the slime bursts all over the place. Once the mess settles, Elpham notices something glowy and picks it up. It turns out to be the gold slime's core. Reaching back, Elpham once again sits in front of Abyss. Ibis is impressed that he once again returned unscathed, as the only survivor. But the point in his mind is that he didn't bring the items he was supposed to. Elpham explains how the amateur adventurers with him tried to kill him for his items, and died at the hands of the boss monster while he was running away from them. Running away is a nice joke. Ibis figures all the previous items must have corroded, once he gets to know that the boss monster was a gold slime. Ibis thinks about all the restrictions of the gates. Starting from the fact that each gate has a specific number of adventurers that can enter at a particular time, and only once they are killed can any other adventurer enter. Second, the gates have specific difficulty rankings ranging from red to purple. The adventurers with higher circle levels cannot enter a gate of a lower difficulty level. The last issue is that a gate disappears if an adventurer comes out of it alive, whether or not he retrieves anything from it. Ebis is internally dejected that the gate and any potential reward with it have disappeared. Ebis knows that the gold slime is a strong monster to be defeated by one circle adventurers, so he assumes Elpham barely escaped and decides to use the corrosion of items as an excuse to fail Elpham. However, Elpham calls him impatient, ready to show him he didn't return empty-handed. He opens his sleeve to reveal not one, but 2 circles on his wrist, while telling Abyss that he consumed the gold slime. Ibis cannot believe his eyes that Elpham consumed the mana stone dropped by the gold slime. Elpham is talking about how he has proved himself enough and would like to be registered as an E-rated adventurer, but he gets cut off with the words D-rated. Elpham is confused when Abyss appears in his face, showing how impressed and excited he is. He even changes the D to a C-rated, asking Elpham to work exclusively for him. It's as if the entire image of Elpham has been switched in Abyss's sight. While Elpham signs the contract, Ibis thinks about how he is aware that the C rating is higher for someone who hasn't awakened 3 circles yet, since several circles equal power in this world. However, he has already been convinced that Elpham is an exceptional case, since not everyone can advance to the next circle level just by consuming a mana stone. His survival instinct is another smart thing about Elpham. His growth is faster than any adventurer that Abyss has ever met, which is why it is beneficial for Abyss to recruit him. Elpham sighs, knowing things have paced quicker than he expected, and he is well aware that Abyss needs him desperately to be offering that. He thinks about how the first conquest of a 100-person red tier gate is not far away. Elpham knows that such an event used to be an interest of all merchant and adventurer guilds of this time. Elpham knows that the Gapper Guild is paying interest in it too, which isn't at all bad for him, because he is also in a rush to execute his plans as fast as possible. After signing the contract, Elpham addresses Abyss, asking him for a favor. Ibis smiles on the outside when Elpham straight up demands some money from him, but feels annoyed at him on the inside. The appearance of the gate has always been a trap laid by the Black Mage. Many adventurers lost their lives, but what created chaos was the day of the apocalypse. The monsters came out of the gates into the Maple World as if they'd long awaited this day. That is when the adventurers truly lost. This day of apocalypse is set to occur in exactly 3 years, which only Elpham seems to be aware of. So he needs to act fast, so Maple World doesn't face the same fate that he has already seen. Elpham knows that the Gapor Guild only hired him because the 100-person red tier gate only allows adventurers with 2 circles or less. Since he has finally gotten some money, he thinks of where he should spend it smartly. He doesn't have much to buy valuable items, but he knows another most efficient thing he can buy from that money. He enters Reese's job market, which is a slave market. Ironical for someone who killed adventurers who bought slaves, but he has a different picture in mind. Elpham asks for a specific person who is chained in the punishment quarters for being a troublemaker. It was the death of a certain individual that expedited the destruction of the Maple World in Elpin's previous life. Erin, the polyarm hero, was murdered by the only apprentice she ever had, the hero murderer, Daibo. This murder was what marked the beginning of the end. Daibo was one of the most influential individuals alongside Elpham after the day of the apocalypse. He was often compared with Elpham due to the similarity of their personalities, and how they both developed their strengths so fast. However, Another striking similarity between the two was their desperate need for money. Debo's sister has been suffering from the black blood disease, for which he needs money. Elpham asks how much Debo would be sold for. Debo assumes Elpham cannot afford him, so he confidently says 1 million mesos, expecting him to turn back. However, Elpham not only takes out the 1 million, but also takes out a contract that says that Debo will receive only 30% of the profit of every adventure, and any loot will solely belong to Elpham. He hands Debo the contract to read it thoroughly, but Debo signs it right away, showing his true care for his sister. Elpham doesn't beat around the bush and decides to take Debo to the first gate. Debo is ready to prove himself as the best hustler. However, he seems like a usually confused newbie when Elpham hands him the polearm as his weapon, even though Debo is interested in long swords. Debo also cannot believe his ears when Elpham tells him that they are the only two adventurers, and it'll be enough for them to conquer an 8-person gate. Elpham kicks a whining Debo inside the gate, making him shout at Elpham for being obnoxious. Unfortunately, the shouting results in attracting the stumps, and an inexperienced Debo freezes there. Elpham pushes him back and takes some confident strikes to attack the stumps and get rid of them almost effortlessly. Debo stands there amazed and wondering who this guy is, while Elpham insults him for panicking seconds after stepping into the gate. A girl reports to a man with long white hair, telling him that the Merchant Guild has taken their bait and is working on the timing of deployment with their guys as members. The guy swirls his drink, ready to work on liberating the maple. E-world. Debo is amazed that they have already earned 27 mana stones, and since he knows that he is going to get 30% of the profit, things seem positive and bright for him and his sister. However, his beaming smile is short-lived when Elpham takes him to 9 stumps and tells him that he is supposed to kill them all alone. Debo steps forward reluctantly, thinking of his boss as a lunatic who sent him to fight so many monsters with a weapon that he is not accustomed to. However, Elpham knows that the polearm is going to prove to be the best weapon for Debo, since he is the only one who was chosen by Aaron as an apprentice in his previous life. Debo seems to be getting a grip of the polearm, and he can feel how it is less straining to use, and is bringing out good attacks from him. He tries swinging the polearm in different ways, and all seem to work in his favor. This impresses Elpham that Debo got a gist of it faster than he expected, and he still hasn't awakened his first circle. Debo manages to get rid of the 9 stumps, but the boss of the gate, Stumpy, appears there. Elpham steps forward, telling Debo that a bigger size is sometimes a shortcoming since more area is exposed to damage. However, Stumpy initially strikes the fire arrow away and then dodges the telekinesis as well. The two run for a while till Elpham tells Debo to handle the stumps that got here while he deals with Stumpy. Debo assumes that Elpham is being irrational since he cannot handle Stumpy alone. However, he is left shocked and impressed yet again, seeing Elpham's attacks finally work. Since Elpham has 2 circles, he can cast 2 spells simultaneously. Stumpy's branches are quick to dodge one attack, but when it is layered with another, it makes it hard for the monster to dodge it. Looking at Elpham makes Debo lose sight of a few stumps that appear near Elpham. Elpham handles them easily, but mocks Debo for not even being able to handle a few small monsters. Elpham's distraction results in him coming too close to an attack, but Debo saves him just in time. Debo calls them, even for this amusing Elpham who can finally see the worth of his money. Elpham and Debo both then brace themselves to finish off this monster. The finishing off, however, isn't that simple. The two of them keep throwing attacks either simultaneously or one after the other, saving each other and helping each other. It takes a while for them to finally weaken Stumpy and get it to a point where it is easier to finish it off. It is their perfect teamwork that helps them defeat a very persistent monster, especially with its multiple branches there to protect it. After a long day of hard work, it is finally time for them to go home. At night, Debo's sister is thanking God for the food on the table when the door is knocked. Wondering who could be here this late, she opens the door and is left shocked. A tired and bruised Debo stands in front of her, smiling and telling her that he is finally back. Both hug each other, celebrating meeting each other after so long. Elpham also finally goes back to his house, where he finds the rotten body of his father, who died of a disease. He uses his staff to burn the house down as some form of closure and walks away. Ebby stares at the information about the potential adventurers to send in the 100-person gate. He knows that other guilds have stronger adventurers with 2 circles than their small-scale guild. An example of the Natasha sisters from the Gold Richie Merchant is enough to make him worry about who to send. He is scared of sending Elpham since he doesn't know if Elpham is trustworthy enough for that kind of responsibility. Someone walking into his office makes Abyss almost shout at the stranger's audacity to walk in without knocking. However, he timely sees it is Lord Larkin and shuts up. Lord Larkin coming personally to ask for a report about what Abyss has decided makes it an even more serious deal in his mind. EB shares all his thoughts and how no one can vouch for Elpham since Chev's entire party died. Larkin laughs evilly, telling Abyss to then create an opportunity to have multiple evidences to vouch for Elpham, as well as see who deserves to go for the conquest. All the 2 circle and below parties are invited in front of a 40-person red tier gate by the Gapper Guild. Debo is excited to see so many people, but the people are not excited to see the 2. They are all judging the 2 for being former slaves and then making a party. Ibais appears there telling everyone to prove themselves, and whoever exceeds all the others will get the chance to go the 100-person gate conquest as a reward. Elpham can see what is happening here. When everyone enters the gate, it is a forest, and they decide to only help each other when it comes to the boss monster. The party with a mage, Dolan, as a leader sees a small mushroom monster and attacks it, ready to leave. However, the monster is unscathed by the magic, and by this time, other mushroom monsters are also lured there. They have to physically kill the monsters, which makes them realize that it is going to be tiring if they keep defeating the little ones. The fear of their energy being drained before reaching the boss monster makes them directly aim towards hunting down the boss monster and betraying other parties of the deal to defeat the boss monster together. Elpham is heard saying the entire thing to Debo, but he also adds that this is what all other parties must be thinking right now. Debo is currently breathing heavily and mentioning how Elpham didn't lend him a hand in defeating those monsters. Elpham casually mentions how those were only 3 monsters that he knew Debo could handle. Knowing they don't have much time, the 2 simultaneously mention they should get moving. But the rest of the sentence is out of sync. Debo mentions going for the boss monster, while Elpham mentions moving to kill every common monster. He has to remind Debo that he said all other parties must be aiming for the boss monster, which is why they shouldn't, because they are not aware of what extent the other parties might go to keep them in check. This is why it is better to be safe for them, provided that the ability and strengths are not only checked by the attack on boss monsters only. Elpham also mentions the weird vibe that he has been getting from this gate. Dolan is shown the exit gate by his party, which is good for them since they decide to lay out traces to lead back to it once they are done with the boss. One of the members, Avant, starts laughing maniacally out of nowhere, making Dolan tell him to shut it, since it'll lure monsters towards them. However, soon after Avant, all the others start laughing too, making Dolan cover his mouth and run away from what is a laughing spore in the air. Dolan tries to rush to get out of there, but a monster that looks like someone crosses a joker and a mushroom is closely following Dolan, while exhaling laughing gas. Soon, Dolan has also stopped running as he laughs uncontrollably while standing in front of the Joker mutt. Shroom. Elpham and Debo are walking ahead while Debo has only one thought in mind: that Elpham didn't lift a finger during this entire time. A signal catches their attention, which is impressive for Elpham, since he didn't expect that these adventurers will actually alert others once they find the boss monster. One of the party's leader, Iburu, starts explaining why he has called everyone. A girl interrupts that Dolan's party isn't here, which turns out to be the entire point of the conversation. The boss monster turns out to be a clown poison mushroom, and Dolan's party has been wiped out by it. This is worrying news for all the adventurers, as they start discussing giving up and exiting the gate if the boss monster is really the clown poison mushroom. Meanwhile, Debo seems to be the only person unaware of the seriousness of facing this monster. He keeps calling Elpham to answer why this is all so serious, but Elpham seems to know how to ghost a person physically. Elpham is thinking about how this monster is the worst kind of monster to face at this level. The poison spore discharged by it prevents adventurers from effectively attacking from up close or surrounding it with sheer numbers. Ranged attack is the most practical option here, but the enemy boasts of hardy defense and unbelievable speed, making it impossible to take the monster down with mediocre strikes. Iburu tells everyone that the boss is lurking around the exit portal, making it impossible for them to escape without drawing its attention. Debo intervenes, boasting about how one fire arrow can defeat the monster. Elpham tells him to shut up, making Debo seeth at him. Debo is then left shocked when Elpham tells everyone that a fire arrow won't even scratch the beast, and they need to come up with a strong plan. Elpham mentions that the gate is filled with monsters of strong defense, making it obvious what the boss of those creatures could be like. Iburu starts throwing shady remarks at Elpham, making others remind him that this is not the time to bicker amongst themselves. The person schooling Iburu is interrupted when Elpham announces 50,000 mesos. This is a price per person that every present adventurer has to pay, so the two of them can act as decoys while everyone else can escape. This will earn the two 1.5 million mesos, while all 30 people can safely exit the gate. Debo is currently pulling out his hair, not understanding what Elpham is up to, while Iburu is getting equally frustrated with Elpham's confidence. He tells Elpham that a decoy won't help in this case since the monster is too strong, and keeps on mocking him that this plan will get everyone killed if the two die right away as decoys. He then proceeds his rant about how, even if he has 2 circles, Debo doesn't have any circles at him at the moment. Calling Debo dumb makes him angry, but nobody seems to be giving him any attention at the moment. However, Elpham has a simple answer in return for all the ranting, that Iburu can give another plan if he has any. Elpham also corrects Iburu that his party consists of a 2-circle and a 1-circle adventurer. Debo, who was previously seething with anger, is as shocked as others when he sees the circle on his wrist and gets self-absorbed thinking how he must be too talented to already have awakened 1 circle. Elpham also reminds Iburu that his party also carries only 1 or 2 2-circle adventurers. Once Iburu shuts up, other people agree to pay Elpham, but they don't have the money on them right away. Elpham asks everyone to pay him once they get out of there, but they all have to agree unanimously to pay him for that. This shows the confidence that Elpham plans to escape alive with Debo, even after acting as a decoy. And if he dies, then everyone obviously gets to keep their money. The clown mushroom is currently munching on the bodies he previously captured when a fire arrow appears from afar and hits him. This catches its attention while masked Elpham and Debo are on alert to start running right when the clown mushroom spots them. Debo seems to be a little questionable about this plan. But when is he ever listened to? The mushroom spots them and rushes towards them, giving them their cue to rush. Debo realizes that the clown mushroom is indeed too fast since it is near their backs in the blink of an eye. The two keep their pace while the other adventurers hurry to activate the exit gate before the decoys are killed. Once the gate is activated, all the adventurers rush out of the gate, leaving the two of them to survive on their own. Elpham and Debo are still running when other common monsters appear in front of them. Debo, who has been called a pushover and insulted since he came here, finds a moment to let out his frustration while simultaneously proving his worth. He keeps his pace while slashing all those tiny mushroom monsters. Meanwhile, Elpham throws his fire arrows to slow down the boss monster. This seems to be making the boss monster angry, but Elpham keeps doing that along with his telekinesis to get it away from them. Using its mobility, the clown mushroom tries to dodge the attacks, reaching a little too close to Debo to not have him panic. However, the two of them timely reach the edge of the cliff and jump down into the stream of the river. Debo barely escapes the monster's hand, so as he goes down, he shows the clown monster his middle finger for his amusement. While falling, Elpham throws another blazing arrow towards the monster, causing a blast at the edge of the cliff as the two splash down into the fast stream and are swooshed away with it. The two drenched guys pant on the riverbank, after barely escaping the clown shroom. Debo is panting, questioning what kind of dangerous beast that is. But it seems to be something obvious for Elpham, who points out he is the boss monster. The two are currently squeezing water out of their clothes, while Elpham mentions how they need better preparation to hunt it down. It is a shocker for Debo, who thought they were going to leave after helping the others escape. Debo laughs nervously, questioning if Elpham plans to hunt it down. He wishes Elpham would reply otherwise, but he doesn't, resulting in a big lash out from Debo about Elpham being crazy for thinking about fighting that thing. After realizing how strong it is, Debo points out the concept of strategic retreat, but Elpham is calm as ever when mentioning how the situation has changed. Their competitors have already left, so if they clear this gate, they will get money from that as well as from the others. Elpham eventually changes his tone, questioning if Debo wants his contract terminated. As expected, Debo is intimidated by Elpham and denies any such thing. He scratches his head and tries to act confident by saying he will expect a fat incentive out of it, like he wasn't reluctant moments ago. Elpham plans on sticking to the contract, so that isn't an issue for him. Debo settles once again and asks Elpham how he plans to defeat a monster that can dodge both melee and ranged attacks, since he plans on staying alive. He wants to be sure if Elpham really has a plan. The spontaneous return of adventurers confuses Abyss. He questions the adventurers about their return and the reduced number. They tell Abyss that the mission was a failure and that some got lost while Elpham and Debo assisted them in escaping. Abyss shows extreme disappointment in them for failing the mission. The adventurers are in disbelief and try to reason that the boss monster is a clown mushroom, but Abyss is unfazed and turns to retreat, calling a give-up on this gate. The lady adventurer questions Elpham and Debo since the portal is still open, meaning they are alive. But Abyss is sure that they won't be after a while. He is well aware that these people didn't stand a chance against that boss, but some obnoxiousness in him wants the adventurers to bring unexpected outcomes. The audacity he has to leave, even though the potential adventurer who could fulfill his wish is still inside. Inside the gate, Elpham has come up with a plan. He knows that he needs to keep away from the clown shroom due to its poison and speed. The fire arrow alone doesn't harm the boss, nor will it be as effective from a distance. But if he uses his telekinesis to make it move in a spiral-like motion rapidly, it will end up having the effect of a bullet. It is a unique technique that he created for himself, and no one else is capable of using. The technique, called revolver, shoots through trees and plants and hits the clown shroom. Elpham was aiming for the nucleus in its head, but it ended up striking the mushroom's shoulder. Now he knows that he needs to land an attack on the mushroom's head before it manages to climb up the cliff to him. However, it is not easy to change the trajectory of the arrow while retaining the spin. The cooldown time also makes it a downgrade for him to act as fast as he can. As the shroom nears the cliff, Debo is seen hiding nearby, and on Elpham's cue, he pulls a rope. This is the most basic kind of trap, making the opponent trip over a rope. But it is successful because the hot-headed mushroom used his agility without a thought of any such thing occurring. The better part about this plan is that the mushroom tripped and fell headfirst into a swamp. This not only made him look uglier, but also closed the pores from where he exhaled the poisonous gas. Debo grins that he can finally breathe a little and prepares himself for some adventure with the dangerous enemy. Elpham is satisfied with the conditions. Luring the mushroom not only limited the poisonous gas, but also restricted the clown from using its best skill, the agility. Now it cannot move, and the two of them can aim their attacks better. Debo uses his polearm and keeps striking the clown shroom. Elpham also throws the revolver arrow, but the clown shroom is still unfazed. Elpham shouts for Debo to aim for the head, since its nucleus is bound to be somewhere there. Debo is well aware of that fact and is working pretty hard to get this thing in control. However, this time, the clown shroom ends up stopping the polearm with its hand. Debo is too stunned to react before he gets pulled towards the monster with his grip on the polearm's other end. Fortunately, he has a boss with fast reflexes. Elpham uses his telekinesis to throw a log at the mushroom, giving Debo time to get on a distance from the monster. The best part is that Debo gets to kick the clown shroom before getting away. This time, the two of them work together for an act. Debo uses his agility to circle the clown shroom, while Elpham uses his telekinesis to splash the swamp water in the air. This makes it hard for the shroom to decipher where Debo is earning it, a brutal attack that results in the clown shroom getting beheaded. Debo bends down on the support of his knees as he pants and pulls a thumbs up towards Elpham. Elpham looks proud, but that doesn't last long since the beheaded body of the clown shroom brutally punches Debo's head. As Debo falls into the swamp, the clown shroom growls violently. Elpham is confused about how the boss is still alive, even after having its head destroyed by Debo. However, he focuses on shooting a fire arrow at the body. The confusion along with a different energy from the enemy makes it hard for Elpham to beat it. As the clown shroom, with a lack of head, travels up the cliff, Elpham wonders what to do since he only has one fire arrow left after this cooldown. He needs to be precise, but he doesn't know where the nucleus is anymore. Debo gets up angrily, screaming to pay back the clown with a bloody head. He sends a slash attack with his polearm towards the clown shroom, successfully slicing its body in 2 halves. Well, 3 if we count the head. However, the upper body still keeps climbing up towards Elpham, confusing and frustrating the two with this scenario. Elpham shoots another arrow, which the shroom remnant dodges. But with this, the real face of the mushroom remnant flaps in front of the opening in its chest. The mushroom gets excited as if he knows Elpham doesn't have any more shots left. However, that is where the difference between a violent monster and a cunning human strikes. Elpham didn't use his last fire arrow, but shot with the flare gun that he was carrying, just so he could see where the real head of this monster was. Now that he is aware, he shoots a revolver right on the spot where the nucleus is, making the monster burst into even more pieces than it already was in. Debo is annoyed at the monster as even the bursting resulted in the poisonous gas spreading all around. Elpham uses his telekinesis to bring Debo up on the cliff so he is away from the gas. Debo breathes for the nth time, questioning if it is finally over. Elpham is confident and tells him they will take the loot once the gas subsides. But before he can finish, the monster rises yet again with its gas and its nucleus still intact. This time, the gas affects the two too. Moving on to Abyss, reporting to Larkin that there was no success in the mission, and they should request the Cygnus Knights for support. Someone knocks on the door, making Abyss mad that he didn't want any disturbance. The person still walks in, and Abyss is shocked to see Elpham standing there reporting that he got back from the gate. How did he do it? We didn't get to know. Larkin grins at this news, along with mocking Abyss, to explain whether he rose from the dead if the mission was a fail. Well, serves Abyss for underestimating Elpham. Larkin has already figured this is the hot topic of the town, Elpham. He praises Elpham's survival instincts and calls him a gem that the Gapper Guild has been looking for. Elpham bows down, calling him kind for all those praises. While we all know it is an act on Elpham's side, Larkin is impressed by his manners. He asks Elpham if this instinct of his will help him in the 100-person Red Gate. Elpham doesn't exaggerate anything and tells Larkin that it isn't going to be easy. Larkin is quiet for only a second, which gives Abyss a chance to show his utmost sincerity, respect, and loyalty to Larkin for the millionth time. He screams at Elpham, calling him ungrateful and disrespectful by replying this way. He reminds Elpham that he doesn't have a choice to pick and choose jobs, and he is indebted to the guild. Elpham just closes his eyes as the stupid man shouts. Larkin finally speaks, and he is impressed yet again. He could read between the words that even though it won't be easy, it is still possible for Elpham to survive that gate. Instead of beating around the bush, he asks Elpham what he wants in exchange for participation. Debo spits his drink out at the bar, when Elpham tells him he asked for 5 million mesos per person for the job. It's a good thing he is alive for the rest of the conversation, after spitting his drink in Elpham's face, because anyone else in his place would have run for his life by now. Debo continues the conversation after apologizing and tells Elpham that he went strong enough for them to withdraw the offer this time. Even though this really is a great opportunity for them, Elpham considers it their decision whether they want them to go for 10 million mesos or not. Debo is still concerned that if they lose the offer, they might also become an enemy to Abyss. Their conversation is disrupted by Iburu and the girl we still don't know the name of. Iburu clenches his teeth, mentioning not liking being compared to them. But before Debo's lash-out rant could end, the two of them bow down in apology for looking down upon them when they are obviously better than them. They hand the pouch carrying 1.5 million mesos from the 30 people and also mention that they added a bit extra to express their gratitude. While Debo is still surprised by the sudden shift in attitudes, Elpham tells them that he doesn't need any money out of pity, and they will only take what they worked for. He gets a little rude when asking for them to take their expressions of gratitude elsewhere, but after the behavior and discrimination that was shown to them and will be shown to other slaves, it is fair that he doesn't like them. Debo grumbles since he won't be getting any bonus, and will also have to count and return the money. Elpham leaves a question for Iburu as to whether he can do what he is getting paid for. Ibis is currently still in his all-caps attitude in front of Larkin, expressing his distaste about the offer. He believes that they can hire 3 or 4 circle adventurers with that much money, so why spend them on only 2 of them? Ibis seems to be forgetting that those adventurers won't be able to enter the 100-person Red Gate. He knows that there is no suitable candidate other than Elpham, but he doesn't want him to take their kindness for granted. Well, 2 notable points for Ibis. One is that he isn't being kind, but is merely exploiting Elpham for his guild's repute. 2, that whatever reason, Elpham is already using them for his gains. So, it is more of a transaction than any kindness or generosity. Ibis wants to call Elpham again and renegotiate the offer, but he is shocked to know that Larkin is willing to pay Ibis twice as much as what he asked for. Larkin hands Ibis a paper while telling him that they are only going to send Elpham and Debo to this raid from their guild. Ibis is confused, but his eyes widen to an extreme extent in disbelief of what's written on the paper. Ibis asks if whatever information he got is certainly true, to which Larkin chuckles that he'd like to believe it is true because he paid a handsome amount to Dark Lord Jin for this information. Well, if Jin is the source, then the information has to be authentic. Larkin gets serious when telling Ibis to wake up as the war has already begun. As participants gather in front of the Red Gate, their attention goes towards Debo and Elpham, when Debo shows his disbelief that their offer actually got accepted. Elpham tells him to focus on the job, but Debo has gained more confidence than his past experiences. The two of them can feel the hostility in the air and know that most of it is directed at them. An adventurer from the Zenith Guild greets Elpham by telling them his rank is E-rated. Elpham introduces himself as a C rank, which shocks the guy since everyone except a C rank to have more than 2 circles. But this one doesn't. Before the guy can settle with the shock, a girl calls him out to step aside, since she has a business to attend with Elpham. The guy leaves annoyed that he wasted his time talking to someone who is associated with those condescending fools. Something already shows that the girl isn't going to be a sweet sight. Elpham recalls that Ibis told him that the Gapper Guild was supposed to team up with the Cygnus Knights for this raid. Cygnus Knights work under Empress Cygnus, and are the single most powerful order of individuals in terms of both battle prowess and authority. Ibis tells him that they showed interest in joining the raid, and since all other guilds have full squads, they decided to let them tag along with the 2 of them. This will increase the chances of clearing the gate. Ibis is suspicious that they have a reason to go this far to join the raid, but what they get in return is good enough to let them tag along. For some weird reason, Elpham casually accepts that working together with them won't be a problem. This is a little weird because Elpham only works with 1 person, and that too, not very nice. Ibis tells Elpham to not let his guard down completely, either because something about the night seemed off to him. The woman, Kiri, is in charge of training squires, but acts like a queen when telling the 2 to not think of them as equals to the Cygnus Knights, and how they are supposed to follow whatever she says. Pretty strong attitude for the team that had to bribe their way into the gate for some reason. Kiri is disappointed that Gapor only sent 2 people, assuming it means they've given up already. The air gets dense when elite forces of other guilds start joining the area. Lonko, one of the escorts for the raid, introduces himself and tells them the rules for the raid. The escorts will help them on the way out of the gate. Any legendary item retrieved will not belong to the adventurers, but to the guild, as the adventurers can only keep the mana stones. In case of any theft, Lonko and other B-rank adventurers will fight the thieves. Debo is surprised to see 5 circles on all their wrists. Everyone lines up to head inside the gate. Kiri walks in front, commanding Elpham and Debo that she will lead, and they will follow, and that they will clear the gate. Debo is annoyed and questions if they really have to work with that stuck-up obnoxious woman, but Elpham isn't focused on her at all for some reason. He is just content that he finally managed to join the raid, unlike his previous life. It is something that he has been aiming for since the start of his second life. Why? Because this is where the chaos began. Elpham starts walking in while Debo stomps behind, not planning on helping Kiri in any further situation. Cute that Debo thinks he will be the commander of himself anywhere here. Let's have a look at the first ever red-rated 100-person gate raid report. All the elite forces died and the result was a cold raid fail. As the adventurers enter the gate, they start wandering around. Debo looks around wondering why the grass is so tall when Kiri tells him to stop the sightseeing and focus. She really seems to want to die at the hands of a human. Debo turns to his real boss, whining about why they are taking her attitude. But he gets confused seeing him bent down on the ground with the side of his face touching it. Debo questions if Elpham is praying, but he clearly is listening to some sound from the ground. As if on cue, everyone hears fast-paced footsteps near them. Soon, someone notices that there are thousands of ribbon pigs headed towards them. Kiri shouts for everyone to spread out, while the unsaid rule of not drawing danger to the gate is mentioned. Everyone starts scattering and running, trying hard to stay with their parties. Kiri is running with her team members, confident that they can manage to lure the pigs to some place with more obstacles and then hunt them down. However, her teammate mentions that Elpham and Debo seem to be missing. Debo is finally relaxed because they are finally away from the pig and the annoying shit. He asks how Elpham anticipated the appearance of ribbon pigs. Elpham shares that he knew from experiences that herds of many monsters travel in plains like this. Ribbon pigs are a violent group of monsters that act in groups of hundreds or even thousands. Even though it seems tough, they aren't impossible to hunt, so the other Merchant Union guys will be able to survive too. The only difference is that they will try not to fight the pigs in order to not waste their energies, since there is no defined idea of what kind of and how many monsters they will be facing. But one thing is sure, ribbon pigs were just a starter for them. Elpham gets lost in the thought that the Sleepywood 100-person gate raid had already failed before his return. Debo starts walking, but turns to ask Elpham what got him so deep in his thoughts. However, the one not lost in thoughts ends up pulling a rope of trap by his foot. Elpham once again saves him from getting hit by conical logs of wood. Debo wonders who could have laid such traps while Elpham has once again turned into Mr. Silently Focused. Crocus's party is also busy dealing with the traps. The Baldy Babble is confident that he cleared all the traps, but the masked leader tells him to not let his guard down. If the monsters had the intelligence to lay out such detailed traps, it means they are definitely up against something gravely dangerous, like the Hobbs. However, his mask and his aura go down the drain at his overconfident comment about everyone dying in here, if not of his level. He turns around to have his mates make use of his so-called intelligence, but when he turns back to comment, he is shocked to see all his team members getting beheaded in front of him, yet not by something clearly visible. Before he can process anything, he finds his head separated from his body too. It would have been sad if anyone died that way, but Mr. Too higher up than others serves to die in confusion about what happened to him. A hooded guy who beheaded them all grins at their know-it-all nature, making them look like dumbasses. With no head, hee. A person sits on a rock praising the idea of whoever used the ribbon pigs to distract the ones entering the gate. This somehow favored the man, and he lazily talks to himself that he should start working now. It seems like a bother to the man, but he still decides to get up to talk to the Natasha sisters standing behind him. It turns out the girls aren't standing there for him, but he made them stand still. His magic made them immobile, so it is a surprise to him when one of them manages to move her mouth and ask him why he is doing this. He is impressed by her, but he also knows not to keep her in the hold of his magic for long. By that, it means he decides to kill her before she can defy his magic. The other two sisters shake in fear as he sits by the dead body and decides to ponder over the question she asked. He stands up, deciding to easily put the question to answer. He laughs maniacally, while answering that he is doing this because everything is for Sir Black Magician. With that, a fire arrow burns the other two sisters to death too. It seems like this raid is humans against humans and not humans against monsters. The person again gets into a sullen mood as if he is the most innocent being and is doing his job against his will, while all he wants to do is chill. Throwback to one of the older chapters, when a white-haired guy sipping wine talked to a girl who informed him about a guild, taking their bait and involving their members in the raid. Yep, this magician guy, William, belongs to one of those imposters. William was told by the long-haired man that they had stayed silent for a long time, and as they worked on themselves by growing and spreading their power, it was finally time to have the fruits of those efforts. William guarantees that he won't let the man down. The man gifts him a quill that was gifted to himself by a special person, and gives a message that sounds more like a threat, as he tells William that he won't accept failures. Seems like the quill and the threat were a form of encouragement for William, as he thinks about getting serious in whatever sick job he is in the raid for. Even though the masked man from Crocus was stupid, one thing he said went spot on. Elpham and Debo are currently peeking inside the place where all the Hobbs reside. It is clear that they have been the ones laying the traps, but seeing their size and intelligence makes Debo wonder if all of them are boss monsters. Elpham is a tad bit annoyed, as he already explained the rocket science that there is only one boss among them. Those Hobbs are high in number. They have a great deal of strength, and they can actually awaken skills from the weapons in their loots. Debo is in a state of trauma, as he questions if by any chance Elpham plans for the two of them to kill all those monsters. Elpham praises that he is a smart learner, but Debo is just pointing out the absurdity in the situation. He finds it impossible for the two of them to do that, and points out that it was better to stay with the knights if this was his plan all along. Elpham pretends to be baffled that didn't Debo want to be away from them, but Debo wants that before knowing Elpham had such plans. He exclaims that he won't fight the Hobbs with the two of them, so Elpham solves his problem. He sends Debo alone to fight. Well, we should shed a few tears of disbelief on his behalf as he tries to survive against the Hobbs. The poor guy tries to hunt down the monsters while trying to stay alive. While he throws some good strikes, it isn't a case of him being unscathed throughout the process. Poor Debo gets punched, has his head grasped in the large hand of the Hobb, and is slammed into the ground. But one good thing about this guy is that he defies his cowardly words when he gets into the fight. Not giving up anyway, he keeps on fighting till he manages to defeat those monsters all on his own. This guy might sound like he isn't confident, but you cannot see any such doubt in his determination to fight once he starts it. Walking angrily, Debo cracks his joints while complaining to Elpham for actually not helping him at all. Elpham tries to sound like a motivational speaker by mentioning how this decision of his must have helped Debo feel more confident about facing such monsters. Debo is not impressed at all by the fancy words and expresses his distrust of Elpham. He is ranting about the possibility of facing more Hobbs, but his words are cut short and his eyes widen at the sight in front of him. There are some beheaded bodies in front of them, whose uniform is that of the Cygnus Knights. The two of them are confused about what could have possibly happened there when they see one of the knights still alive and injured. The two of them walk to the knight, asking what happened here. The guy painfully responds that they weren't defeated by a Hobb, but it was an incident of trolling. Trolling is basically the concept where some people enter the gates with other explorers, but instead of hunting the monsters, they attack the explorers and take away their belongings. The gate's inability to show anything inside and the fact that their return will make the gate disappear means there will be no proof of murder or stealing on them. But this gate's case is a little different. Trolling will mean there will be no survivors, and the chances of return decrease if the number of people alive inside the gate decreases. So, the suspicion towards a single survivor is inevitable. On another hand, if the aim was to get rid of ace forces of different guilds, this gamble is likely to wage a war. So, there might be some other ulterior motive with a greater mastermind behind all this. It seems like Abyss and Larkin were already aware of this, as this was all Abyss's contemplation. Debo cannot believe this, and when Elpham asks about Kiri, the guy slams his fist on the ground and shakily expresses his pain and anger to not have identified a traitor among them. Elpham is beyond bewildered about why Kiri would commit trolling when she's a member of the Cygnus Knights. The guy agrees that it is hard to believe, but then he mentions that Kiri's remark at the entrance for everyone to split up automatically raises suspicions. He eventually tells them that Kiri told him, after attacking them all, that she is a supporter of the Black Mage. Debo is yet again shocked, while Elpham is once again standing there with his blank look. Why this guy remains expressionless should be the second mystery to solve after the mystery of what's happening inside this gate. Flashback time? The Black Mage threatened the Maple World 800 years ago, along with his countless followers. 6 heroes rose to fight him, but the situation turned when the heroes and the mage were sealed off together. The Allied forces proceeded to lay a counterattack on the followers that had fallen in this chaos. This led to the complete disappearance of the followers of the Black Mage. Back to the present, Debo is still in disbelief that the followers of the Black Mage are back, while Elpham realizes that it wasn't a time to hunt down monsters, since finding the woman is more important right now. It always seems to be the dynamic. Debo for the dramatics and Elpham for the solution. Elpham offers the knight to tag along if he is prepared to clash swords with Kiri, and it seems to be exactly what he wants at the moment. Kiri is found running when she comes to a halt in front of William and the hooded guy who killed the Crocus team. William expresses his gratitude to her for making people spread around when the ribbon pigs arrived, making their plan reach its finishing stage faster. He then asks if she likes the gift they sent her. All this blabbering aside, the real curiosity rises when Kiri, a supposedly black mage follower, asks the two who they are. Debo lends the guy his shoulder while Elpham walks faster to look for Kiri. Debo is walking with utmost care to not hurt the guy and offers to walk even slower, whilst telling him to not worry as Elpham is good at finding stuff, and they will soon meet Kiri. The knight smiles, expressing his relief, while he uses his free hand to draw an attack towards Debo. Seems like we know where things got twisted perfectly, but what we don't know is what happens next. Just because Kiri has been cornered doesn't mean she is going to be defeated in no time. The training captain of Cygnus Knights is not that easy to take down after all. The Black Mage followers are still confident that she won't be able to hold out against them much. Using her Solar Sword and Solar Slash skills, Kiri proves to them that she is not to be underestimated. She asks them their purpose, but William seems to be done with fooling around. He tells the others to kill her so multiple of them attack Kiri. Before they can reach her, a strong attack out of nowhere slashes their bodies into pieces. As the shock settles, Debo comes into view, standing tall and angry. As Debo is helping the guy tells him to give her greetings to Kiri while bringing his hand with a magic attack. However, before it can touch Debo, a fire arrow strikes the hand. The knight is left screaming in pain over losing his hand. Debo is still confused about what's going on, while Elpham stands there proudly telling the knight how he doesn't have the habit of trusting anyone. Not to mention, the knight's see-through fade for Elpham. Debo and Kiri stand in front of William, who isn't fond of the idea of having an uninvited guest to his game. Seems like he likes to play unfairly in terms of numbers with his opponents. He's informed that Debo is from Gapper Guild, which means the knight who didn't kill Kiri on time also failed at his chance of redeeming himself. Focusing back on the issue at hand, William decides to send his elites against the two because Kiri and Debo look strong. Kiri tells Debo to be careful, which he considers as a warning because those jokers seem like pervies. As the enemies charge at them, Debo tells Kiri to take down at least one while he deals with the rest. Kiri constantly reminds him not to let his guard down, but Debo doesn't consider it worth it to keep up a guard. He dodges one of the attackers easily, but it turns out that the attackers don't play any roles. Instead, they will use any chance to kill them. Double-crossing Debo, they start attacking him from everywhere. A fire arrow comes his way, but Debo manages to barely dodge it. However, by this time, another mage has sneaked up on his back. He manages to slash Debo's back, but Debo is still wondering how shallow can their moves get. It seems like Debo doesn't realize this isn't a game, and they don't care if they have to be petty to kill them. The villains would use any chance. The attacker turns back with another one of his attacks, making Kiri question what Debo is doing. She cannot help him since she is currently defending against another one of the mages. However, Debo easily dodges the second attack, and with dark eyes tells Kiri that he is just toying with them. He then uses the polearm to get rid of that attacker. Another opponent shoots attacks at Debo, but Debo is quick to dodge them away and retaliate. It makes everyone question how he is so strong, but that's exactly what Debo is showing them here. This person gets alarmed when he hears Kiri from behind. Looking back, he finds his fellow whom Kiri was fighting being kicked towards him. He dodges the blow and listens to Kiri mock them for calling such weaklings and easy cases their elites. William can see that the situation is getting out of their hands, so he decides to intervene, announcing, "This is as far as they can go, as they have wasted too much of their time." This is followed by a fire arrow being aimed at Debo. Debo is surprised to see him use a fire arrow, and his eyes widen even more upon realizing that it is faster than Elpham's. A blow on Debo and Kiri's side makes William give a happy victory speech, starting from how Debo shouldn't have let his guard down seeing it was just a fire arrow, because his fire arrows are on another level. He then boasts about Debo being unable to dodge it, even if he had tried. He tells his fellows to move and start clearing the dungeon now that they're done here. However, as the smoke clears, William's arrogant words are slammed back as a slap to his ego as Elpham stands in front of Debo. Unscathed, and having dodged the blow of the fire arrow, William must be annoyed at the dramatic entries of different people he didn't intend to encounter at all. But instead of answering who he is, Elpham points to a side informing them about another guest. Using his magic, Elpham had lured all the ribbon pigs in the direction of where William and his fellows stood, leaving them stunned. With some scratches and bruises, William and his team managed to survive against the ribbon pigs. However, he is extremely pissed that Elpham decided to run away after luring the pigs towards them. He wants everyone to chase after the three, but they aren't all done with the pigs yet. He wants the ones free to start looking already, not wanting to risk them leaving the gate. This situation is starting to become a headache for William, as if he isn't the one killing adventurers and causing issues for others. William can feel something troublesome about Elpham, so he specifically tells the others to hold Elpham down so he can personally deal with him. Gerald, his fellow, doesn't think William should take a risk and face someone who doesn't seem like an easy deal. William has to remind him that he shouldn't be worried about him, as he is the strongest person present at the gate at the moment. Getting a little farther away, Kiri seems lost in her thoughts. Elpham is also looking blank, while Debo laughs at the stunned expressions of the mages. He believes they might not have survived being trampled by those pigs, but Elpham tells him they aren't that easy to kill. He also tells Debo to be careful of traps around the dungeon. Debo is on alert about that, but still curious why Elpham didn't kill them off himself, and decided to stall the situation. Debo is talking about it, but all the words are left hanging when Elpham tells him because William is stronger than him. Debo cannot believe what he is hearing. Elpham thinks about the attack before. He had thrown his fire arrow to destroy William's fire arrow, but his arrow barely managed to deflect the trajectory of William's arrow. Debo tries to convince himself that it is a joke, but when has Elpham ever done something as insignificant as joking? He stands there with the straightest face, accepting that they indeed simply ran away to save their lives. Elpham looks at his circles and can see that they have widened, increasing the speed and power of his attacks to their peak. So either way, William should have been weaker or equal to him. Something about his magic is beyond comprehension for Elpham. It is a surety that William is a two-circle adventurer to have entered the gate, but how he strengthened his powers is a mystery for now. Hence, indeed, William is the strongest adventurer in the gate right now. Turns out it wasn't just William's arrogance talking. Our strongest hero has given the verdict too. Debo also starts wondering what they should do now. He offers to use the hobs to attack the mages, but Elpham tells him hobs aren't that plain-minded and will figure they are their enemies too. So luring them is hard. The two are interrupted when Kiri tells them to stop blabbering, as they aren't understanding what situation they are in right now. However, just like all the previous times, Kiri once again proves that her mindset is nothing but a disappointment. Her focus is currently on the fact that a black mage was hidden within the Cygnus Knights, and that they should just leave the gate and report it to the higher-ups. Kiri tells them they should give up on clearing the gate, but Elpham calls it pointless. Before Debo can say something, Kiri opens her arrogant mouth, calling them slaves and accusing them of still thinking of the measly rewards. She really is just strength and no intelligence with the way she speaks. Elpham finally speaks up, telling her that her idea of going out and reporting is not gonna work out. Even if they do so, or get rid of this group, it won't be anything more than cutting one branch of a tree that has been growing its roots over decades. The Black Mage followers have been growing in number for decades and are still not openly out in the open. If they decide to hide themselves again after this incident, there will be no way of finding them, and they will become a parasite that eats away Maple World from where not one can see. Kiri clenches her teeth and stomps forward, holding Elpham's fist in her cloak and shouting at him for listing out all the risks and how no one's plan is going to work, but not giving any solution in response. She lashes out that they are being chased right now, so a little of Kiri's fear is finally let out, showing she doesn't know what to do with the situation optimally either. Elpham grins, telling her that they should let the mages know who the real hunter is. The hunters are running forward and talking about how they should quickly find the three before they get out of the gate and expose them. Suddenly, Debo appears behind them and attacks one of them. The mage dodges the attack while the other one appears behind Debo, telling him it was a mistake for Debo to come looking for them. The two decide to kill Debo this time, but before they can do much, a rope is cut and a log of tree falls on one of them. Debo attacks the other one, but he is quick to dodge too. Still, it doesn't mean that his attacks can harm Debo. Dodging one of them, Debo decides to take this fight to fists. He starts punching and kicking the guy pretty brutally, not giving him a chance to retaliate at all. One of the other mages tries to attack Debo from afar, but Kiri is already pissed at the situation, and she is the perfect person for Kiri to take it out on. William stands at another place, casually saying how they have all started the confrontation. He then questions Elpham, who is standing at little distance in front of him, about his curiosity about Elpham and the team waiting on them. Not getting a response from Elpham, William laughs, telling him they should get started too then. With the sickest grin he could muster, William shoots a fire arrow toward Elpham, while with an intense stare, Elpham does the same. Elpham dodges the fire arrow thrown by William and throws one of his while being on the move. William is thoroughly impressed that Elpham is a good fight. As Elpham's arrow strikes, smoke rises, making him wait to see what happens. However, a rock almost shoots at Elpham through the smoke. As he dodges the rock, William appears close behind his back, mocking Elpham for doing just that. He then shoots another fire arrow from a very close distance towards Elpham, as fire from the impacts of their arrows surrounds them. Elpham and William stand facing each other. William asks how he cancelled out his fire arrow just now. Elpham rewards him with his famous response: silence. William says he doesn't seem like a talkative person. Congratulations, Mr. Obvious. William also realizes there isn't any space for conversation during a fight and tells Elpham that he will figure it out himself. William throws another fire arrow at Elpham and is shocked to see him use his telekinesis to make his fire arrow act as a drill against his magic. William is genuinely surprised, as he hasn't seen something of that sort ever before. It is almost unbelievable to see someone strengthen their skills with telekinesis. William calls him the genius type of adventurer, something he despises, maybe because he can never be one. William decides to make things fun for himself and tells Elpham to show him more of what he can do. With another fire arrow, Elpham uses his telekinesis to create a shield of rocks with it, but it is easily pierced through by William's arrow. Elpham runs towards a side, making William mock him for playing hide and seek. However, there is a good expression of surprise and disbelief on his face when a fire arrow is trajected towards him out of nowhere. William didn't even know when Elpham cast it. Elpham uses his telekinesis to turn it back towards William every time he dodges it. He keeps making William jump around until he finally feels done with the situation. Elpham annoyed him so much that his veins popped up on his face. Striking a fire arrow of his own towards Elpham, he makes him use his revolver thing again. Now, William is satisfied that Elpham has used both of his shots and uses this opportunity to release poison breath towards him. Elpham clearly didn't expect that coming. As the breath spreads around, William gives a tiny description of how poison breath leaves one wide open while casting it so. William stalled for the opportunity to make Elpham use both his specialties and be on a cooldown. William is confident that Elpham won't be able to do anything for about 30 minutes now, making it easy for William to kill him. Being a psychopath already, William laughs while telling Elpham that he is also on his cooldown, so he will be using his dagger to kill Elpham. He then starts narrating how he is eager to see the expressions of fear and despair on Elpham's face, but his narration doesn't even make him realize that Elpham has moved to punch him right across the face. William looks like an even bigger clown as he falls backward at the impact of the punch. But how did Elpham move? Well, we finally get to know this through a flashback after Debo and Elpham beat the clown mushroom. It was always a mystery how they survived the last poison attack by the mushroom. Iburu kept pegging Debo to tell him how they managed to survive. He finally offers to pay for the drinks if Debo tells him the secret. Debo laughs, telling him it'd be pointless because he won't be able to do that even if he knew. He then finally proceeds to narrate this skill that Elpham presumably called the room. It involves using telekinesis to suck and trap the air from the atmosphere. Just when Debo thought they won't survive this time, Elpham sucked up all the poison from the large area. Debo then laughs at Iburu, telling him it wasn't anything special. Iburu is annoyed that he has to pay for a drink after knowing it is some cheat skill. Debo laughs that his boss is a straight-up cheat character. Indeed. Back to the present, Elpham stands unaffected by the poison. Breath in the same way. He keeps on punching and kicking William, not letting him even utter any word properly. After brutally beating William up and throwing him across a tree, Elpham brings his staff back to him and shoots at fire arrow toward William in a hopefully final attempt. William is barely moving right now, but still tries to use his poison breath again while being furious at Elpham. Elpham uses his room skill, yet again making William's poison breath useless. Elpham can see through William's act of looking like he has gone insane, but wants to target something. He assumes William must be aiming to get his hands back on his staff and is confident that he can end William in a moment. However, just when he thinks things are going toward their end, a huge attack shoots toward Elpham, leaving him no time to dodge or retaliate. William, being the maniac, starts laughing, hysterically ready to destroy Elpham. Elpham lies on the ground injured, thinking about underestimating William, since he didn't expect a flame orb to be William's wild card. As another flame orb is directed at him, Elpham thinks about how he wouldn't have overlooked such a detail before his regression, so he seems to have lost his touch. The huge explosion makes Debo look back and worry about his boss. Beheading the mage Kiri was fighting, she tells Debo to stop fooling around and get rid of them, since Elpham is facing someone he can't face alone. Debo is annoyed that she ordered him about something he was already planning to do. Debo is us. However, just as the two of them get rid of the mages, green hobs appear at the site. Debo isn't entirely surprised to see them, while Kiri is confident they can get rid of the hobs in no time. Debo tells her it is not as easy as it seems to her, and amongst the hobs in front of them, an odd one stands out, clearly being the boss of others. William breathes heavily after finally killing Elpham with his attacks, or so he presumes. He then starts vomiting out blood and chuckles, giving Elpham enough credit to be an interesting competitor. Interestingly enough, William says to himself that he should have asked for Elpham's name. What he must not have thought about was a rough voice telling him the name of his opponent. Looks like Elpham found the perfect timing to respond to William's insignificant talking. Elpham tells him to memorize it well, since it is the last time he'll hear it alive. Bro really saved up on words to serve at the perfect timings. William is not amused, as he believes there is no chance of Elpham winning against him. Elpham tells him he knows it is impossible to defeat him with just 2 rings. He shows William a mana stone. William is a little surprised, but he starts laughing, telling Elpham that just consuming a mana stone isn't enough to circle up. He needs enlightenment through countless experiences. William looks crazy while laughing in confidence. Only if he knew. Elpham quite literally has a lifetime of experience. Elpham tells William exactly that, and William's annoying laugh slowly fades away as he watches William's wrist getting a 3rd circle. William thinks Elpham is bluffing and shoots a fire arrow towards him, but Elpham has the coldest of glares while shooting his newly strengthened fire arrow towards William. William uses his flame orb against Elpham, but Elpham, converting his fire arrow into a revolver, easily pierces through the flame orb, leaving William exposed to the revolver next. As the flames settle, there is nothing left of William's body other than the remains of his legs. As the perfect ending statement, Elpham mentions forgetting to ask for William's name, as if he could ever be interested in that. The hobs look around for the two, but Kiri is hiding with an injured Debo behind a tree. She is tense about things getting complicated for them. They were fighting the monsters one by one, which was pretty easy for Debo, which surprised Kiri. He could see the patterns of movements by the hobs, and counted his hunts confidently when a blow suddenly came his way. It was an orbital flame cast by the leader hob using a human staff. Kiri timely took Debo and hid, but she didn't expect the hobs to know how to use human tools like the magic staff. She is thinking about how there seems to be no choice but to wait for Elpham, who is hopefully still alive. However, her thoughts are interrupted by a peek-a-boo from a hob. Good for Kiri's reflexes, she saves herself and Debo in time and starts rushing away as the hobs follow. Throwing Debo in the air, she deals with a hob and catches him back like a cool hero. Even though the situation is troublesome, she thinks, she can handle the hobs one at a time, as long as it isn't the leader one. The leader starts using flame attacks towards Kiri. Poor girl has a hard time, running while carrying Debo around. When an attack finally reaches her, Debo wakes up in time and helps dodge it. Kiri is on the ground behind him and cannot believe that the guy she calls a mophead is strong enough not only to dodge those attacks, but also to fight through multiple hobs at once and reach towards the leader hobtop. Attack him. Kiri is amazed by such skills from a first circle adventurer, but that staff being in the hob's hand makes things still difficult. Debo is once again attacked, and Kiri saves him from a brutal impact on the ground. She tells him to rest while she handles the situation now. The hob is about to launch another attack when a revolving flame arrow comes and pierces through it, finishing the story in one go. Kiri stands there with her mouth hanging open as a beaten up, yet strong Elfum claims he isn't too late after all. Longko is lazing around outside the gate thinking about how it is easy to make money by just sitting out, but spending 4 days out like that has started getting his body itchy. His thoughts are interrupted when he hears some noises nearby and then sees the gate starting to disappear. He rushes to his fellow kite, who informs him that someone must have returned for the gate to disappear. Longko sees Elfum, Debo, and Kiri lying outside the gate, tired of their injuries. Elfum wakes up in a bed with Longko sitting opposite the bed. He straight up confronts Elfum about how there were only 3 survivors from the gate. Elfum shows surprise about there being only 3 survivors and talks to himself about having such a guess. He is then seriously asked to reply to the question about what happened inside the gate and not stall the conversation. Elfum is a great actor to painfully mention about there being a demon inside. He then asks for a piece of paper to draw and show them who the boss monster was. Longko takes the sketch, sighs, and goes for the meeting. Everyone in the meeting is in a rage about how only 3 people survived in a 100-man gate when the majority of the adventurers were aces of their guilds, and a red gate can't be that hard to conquer to only leave 3 survivors. The representatives of various guilds question them. Situation. Longko tells them he doesn't think the 3 are lying and then shows them the sketch of the boss monster. Seeing a green hob, they all know those monsters are intelligent enough to use human items. Some of the representatives finally realize that fighting against the green hob army wouldn't have been that easy, but the gold-rich merchant guild's representative doesn't believe that the Natasha sisters could have fallen to something like that. He then claims that this was an incident of trolling, since there is not means for the outsiders to see what happened inside the gate, which means some adventurers might have taken advantage of such a situation. He builds his case that all the survivors were from the same guild too. Pretty interesting argument that his strong Natasha girls could have survived against the boss, but not the people he considers weaker than them. Abyss claims that he cannot hear such accusations on Gapor guild anymore. They simply survived because they were the best ones around. He doesn't seem to leave any chance of using the Elfum he hates for his benefit. The 2 start laughing arrogantly while arguing about how Gapor guild is placed at last of the 10 great merchant unions, while Abyss responds that they are new and will be topping the charts and replacing them pretty soon. Longko gets tired of the weird laughing and argument by the 2 and tells them to shut about it. Abyss finally gives them solid proof that his adventurers didn't bring any item out of the gate. There is practically no other incentive for trolling, so the case is clear. Longko lets the 3 go away, Elfum being the fakest. Gentleman bows to Longko, thanking him for the care. Since they have concluded the gate, there remains no reason to keep the 3 in question anymore. As the 3 walk away with Kiri still helping Debo walk and his boss Elfum walking alone casually, she is surprised to see a snail that follows them outside for real. A little throwback inside the gate again. At the exit gate, Kiri questioned Elfum's confusion since they had gotten rid of the Black Mage followers, had also gotten rid of the boss monster, and was near the front gate. All they have to do now is throw away all the items and hurt each other a little bit before they leave. Really? An overstatement when they're all already hurt. Elfum looks at her as 2 feathers shine in his bag. He agrees that this should be the plan, but then expresses that he found Phoenix feathers with William. Just holding them can increase the output of fire magic by 30%, and unlike other items that don't stack, this can have its effects stacked as well. This increase in power is what must have resulted in all other adventurers being wiped out in no time. This is an unexpected gain, and Elpham thinks it needs to be taken out no matter how. Kiri reminds him that taking anything out that they didn't register before will result in suspicion of trolling towards them. She is basically repeating what Elpham had told her before and tells him to not be greedy and do as they had initially planned since they stand in front of them. Exit gate already. Their discussion is disturbed by a snail appearing near them. The pet snail is also a monster, unlike other snail monsters. It doesn't have any attack power, it simply tends to sniff out and collect items. The more items the snail collects, the larger its shell becomes. Things seem to be almost always convenient for Elpham in his second life. Elpham found out about this life form in his previous life after the gate was opened. Sitting on Elpham's shoulder, the snail surfs through its shell and brings out the feathers for him. Elpham smiles towards the feathers while the snail looks at him with big duo eyes. Seems like the cute little monster has a cute little crush on a human. Kiri asks Elpham about how he knew the use of this snail, since he managed to bring out what he wanted without being detected. Elpham tells her he decided to try something rather than leaving empty-handed. Kiri then focuses on the serious matter at hand and asks him what the next step is supposed to be since she already did what he had asked her to do inside the gate. Elpham tells her not to rush things, since the Black Mage followers have made their way inside the Cygnus Knights as well. They need to be careful about getting intel, or else the mages could go deeper in hiding. He tells her they should wait about what happens ahead, since the news must have already reached them. The leader of the cult is reported about all their imposters being wiped out and the failure of this raid. He is told that their people fell victim to the boss monster and failed the raid, only leaving 3 survivors from the Gapper Guild. He also tells about the said suspicions of trolling, but since they were on Gapper Guild and not them, it means they are clear. And since their trolling case didn't have enough evidence either, there is no risk of possible investigation either. They feel like it is good that they weren't exposed even, though the mission ended up being a failure, unaware that there are 3 weirdly intense people keeping tabs on them now. They decide to prepare for them. Next mission. The leader, the white-haired guy, who we still don't know the name of, asks if they were caught. The reporter tells him about how their initial plan was to get rid of all the parties and kill the boss monster. But if that didn't happen, it means at least one of the 3 must have seen William. Not like the leader should care. William is gone forever. But the reports Elpham submitted also did not have any such mention, which means their secret is still safe and intact. They aren't wrong to speculate that. Elpham has no means of hiding such a thing, and even if he did realize William's truth, he must not know that they had their people disguised in multiple merchant unions. However, what they don't know is this guy is living his life the second time and wants to amend some things that went wrong the previous time. The leader still wonders about the risk of Elpham realizing that they are a union that follows black magic and spreading this information. Poor guy doesn't even know his people casually explained the entire story with the assumption that they'll survive. The reporter thinks that they should cut off all the members infiltrated in other merchant unions, but the leader is focused on some kind of invitation. He excitedly decides to pick out a stage where they can be the 101st guests. A confusing statement from his side,